And take yourself off of mute.
Jackie, can you see it now?
I can see it and you can begin.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for your patience. I'm Sonia Larkin, your speaker today. I'm a certification officer in the Department of Procurement Services with the City of Chicago. I'm going to read from the PowerPoint presentation and give you some little insights along the way. So we are the Department of Procurement Services, and it is the contracting authority for the procurement of goods and services for the City of Chicago. We work together as a team and with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process by establishing, communicating, and enforcing superior business practices. The City of Chicago has several certification programs. The MBE, Minority-Owned Business Enterprise, the WBE, Woman-Owned Business Enterprise, the VBE, Veteran-Owned Business Enterprise, BEPD, Businesses Owned by People with Disabilities, DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and the ACDBE, Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. Today, we will be talking about the MBE, WBE, VBE, and BEPD. What we do, DPS is committed to providing information, resources, and tools to assist you in your efforts to compete for City of Chicago contracting opportunities. We accept and review new applications for certifications, which is what we're here today to learn about. Annual no change affidavits, which is a requirement once the firm is certified. And we then will have recertification applications every 5 years. I'm going to just give you a little insight into this. On year 1, you're certified. On year 2, 3, and 4, you will be submitting no change affidavits. There is no fee for these affidavits to be submitted. It's simply updating the information in the firm's account. And on year 5, if you choose to continue your certification, you will be applying for recertification. What the department does also is we contract compliance with negotiating contractual MWV DBE participation goals. We set standards for contract participation for MWBEPD and VBEs, as well as DBE and ACDBEs. We assist vendors through our websites. And again, you can be writing these down, or as Jackie indicated in the beginning of this presentation, you can get a copy of this PowerPoint presentation and you'll have these website addresses there. Benefits of certification. It provides visibility. Once certified, your firm is listed in a directory with the City of Chicago, which is accessible to the general public. There are minority, women, veteran, and disadvantaged business participation goals on City of Chicago projects and sister agencies. There are businesses in the private sector that also seek out certified firms for products and services, because we're finding now many of the private sector organizations, companies, businesses are now meeting compliance requirements to utilize MBE, WBE, VBE, and possibly BEPD certified firms. The City of Chicago has a target market program, which provides exclusive bidding to certified minority and women-owned business enterprises. This allows certified businesses to take 100% of the contract because there are no subcontractor goals associated with that specific project. Do you qualify? The qualifying groups are African American, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, women, veteran, persons with disabilities, other individuals who can provide social and economic disadvantage. The VBE, veteran-owned business enterprise. Veteran means a person who has served in the United States Armed Forces and was discharged or separated under not dishonorable conditions. The applicant must provide documentation at the time of application, which is the DD 214 and or the DD 215 is the needed document as supporting evidentiary documentation, and this is required. If the vendor does not have their DD 214 and or DD 215, the applicant should contact the Veterans Administration and get a copy. Local business. You're required to be a local business if you're applying for certification with the City of Chicago. This means the principal place of business and majority of full-time workforce is located in the counties of Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, and Will. This applies to the MBE, WBE, VBE, and BEPD applications. For the applications for the DBE, ACDBE, this is the federal program. The firm can be located anywhere within the state of Illinois. The firm must be 51% owned, controlled, and managed by a minority, a woman, a veteran, and or a person or persons with a disability, or for DBE or ACDBE, be socially or economically disadvantaged individuals. The business size standard. There is a requirement that the firm not be any larger than the numbers I'm going to read to you. So for the MBE, WBE, VBE, the gross receipts must not exceed 40.5 million averaged over 3 years for non-construction firms. Construction firms are subject to the SBA size standards, and those are averaged over 5 years. The DBE, again, this is different than the municipal program. This is the federal program. The gross receipts are subject to the SBA size standards averaged over 3 years, not to exceed 23.98 million. The ACDBE, which is again a federal program, they are not to exceed 56.42 million averaged over 3 years for most firms, and there are some exceptions here. The personal net worth standard, the MBE, WBE, VBE, the threshold only applies to construction companies, and it is currently at $2,352,514. This is evaluated annually by the City of Chicago. The DBE, ACDBE, the threshold applies to all people seeking certification and is currently at $1,320,000. This is adjusted periodically by the U.S. Department of Transportation. The calculation of personal net worth excludes the value of your primary residence and interest in the certified firm. The businesses that qualify: a sole proprietor, typically owned by only one person, hence the name sole proprietor, has no legal existence apart from that person, him or herself. They must submit an assumed name certificate if operating in the name other than that of the owner. So if I were Sonia Larkin, sole proprietor, my business would be called Sonia Larkin. But if I wanted it to be Larkin Limited, I would have to go and file for an assumed name certificate. I hope that clears that up a little. General partnership, 2 or more people go into business together without any formalities, and there is a partnership agreement. A corporation. A corporation is treated as an entity completely separate from its shareholders. It allows others to invest in the business without being liable for the debts of that business? Is the firm in good standing with the Secretary of State of Illinois? Do you have articles of incorporation, a certificate of incorporation, bylaws of the corporation, copies of all stock certificates issued front and back, and meeting minutes? These are documents that we will be requesting and that are required in the MBE, WBE, VBE, and BEPD applications. If you are a limited partnership, the limited partners are more like stakeholders in a corporation. They are not liable for the debts beyond their own contribution. Assume name, certification, or certificate of limited partnership. A limited liability company. Partnerships that have a managing member or partner or partners. There will be an operating agreement and there will be articles of organization. Now we're going to talk about suppliers for those who are thinking about opening a business or have a business currently that provides supplies, sells from their own stock. A supplier must be a regular dealer, which is a firm that sells, operates, or maintains a store, warehouse, or other establishment in which materials, supplies, articles, or equipment are bought, kept in stock, and regularly sold or leased to the public in the course of business. Firms operating as a distributor are identified as having a direct relationship with a manufacturer to distribute its goods and products within a specified territory or region. The goods and/or products are not available or sold to the general public. Firms acting as a broker are not eligible for certification as an MBE, WBE, VBE, BEPD, but can be eligible for a DBE certification if they meet the specific criteria. A person or entity that fills orders by purchasing or receiving supplies from a third-party supplier rather than out of its own existing inventory and provides no substantial service other than acting as a conduit between his or her supplier and his or her customer is considered a broker. And we do not certify brokers in the MWV and BEPD categories. You will submit applications online at www.chicago.mwdbe.com. The application fee is $250. There is no fee for the federal program DBE and ACDBE applications. Upon submission of the application, you will receive an emailed invoice. Again, this is for the MBE, WBE, VBE, and BEPD. We will not review your application until you pay the $250 application fee. You can pay the $250 at any of the city's payment centers. You must bring the invoice when paying at the payment centers. We only accept certified checks, money orders, cashier's checks, debit and credit cards are also accepted. We now have the ability for you to pay online. If you fail to pay the first invoice, a second page of invoice is there on the website that addresses the online payment. Contact information. This is the information that is critical and essential for us to have about you and your business so that we can reach out to you as we do the review. We need to know the type of certification you are seeking: MBE, WBE, VBE, BEPD, DBE, ACDBE. The BEPD requires Schedule G form, and this is something if anybody is looking to apply for the BEPD, I can give them additional information after the presentation, or we can chat because you will have access to me via my email. The VBE form, the VBE application requires the DD 214 and 215 at the time of application. There will be ownership information required. There will be employee information required on the application if the firm has employees. We will definitely need facility information. Where is the business located? Financial information and specific licenses for the business. And I'm just going to leave it at licenses. If the business is located in the city of Chicago, depending on the type of business, it may require a city of Chicago business license. For proof of eligibility, the documents that we will look at are the resumes you submit. And we always ask that you submit a chronological detailed resume, including any education, certifications, additional training you've received in the specialty areas you're seeking certification in. Evidence of executed contracts and/or invoices. If your business is a startup, you may or may not have these, but you have probably started to at least reach out to individuals or businesses, and you can submit proof of your marketing your services. We will require a driver's license and a birth certificate. Proof of equity contribution. This will be what did you contribute or how much did you contribute at the time you started up your company. Business bank account. We ask you to get a copy of your signatory card, your signature card from your financial institution. An organizational chart, and this can be hand drawn. It does not have to come with all of the perfectly outlined boxes. If the firm has equipment, please provide us with an equipment list and also tell us where the equipment is being stored in the case of a construction firm or a rehab business. Loan information, if in fact the business has any loans currently out there. The financial documents, 3 years of federal business tax returns are required for the business. 5 years are required for construction firms. If your business is new and you have only 1 year, please upload that 1 year and a document that indicates that you are a newly established business and you've only been in business for 2 years and you have 1 year of tax returns. 3 years of federal individual tax returns are required. These are your personal tax returns as the owner of that business, and 5 years of your federal individual tax returns if the business you're trying to certify is a construction firm. There is a form in there we ask that you complete. It's called a 4506T. We will be requesting W-2s and 1099s, and there will be a personal net worth statement that is required for construction companies and all new DBE and ACDBE applications. After the applications are submitted, the process can take approximately 90 days from the day we receive all documents. Your application is checked to make sure we have all documentation. Documents are thoroughly audited. You may or may not receive a site visit, again, depending on what areas or NAICS codes your firm is seeking certification in. If there is documentation that is missing from the initial application, this does not throw your application out. The officer that's assigned to that certification application will reach out to you and issue requests for information within the firm's account under the Q&A tab. If approved, the MBE, WBE, VBE, and BEPD, your certification is valid for 5 years, as I indicated briefly a few moments ago. Recognition of outside certifications. The Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council at 105 West Adams has a program that certifies firms as minority-owned businesses. This is separate from the application of the City of Chicago. We accept this form and the Woman in Business Development Center located at 8 South Michigan, who certifies WBEs, that's women-owned business enterprises. We recognize these and we accept these under what is called an expedited, but it's really an abbreviated application. So if any of you are currently certified by either of these two entities, that could ultimately be a shorter application that you can submit. And if you have questions about this, again, I will be available to you to discuss at the end of this presentation, or you can reach out to me via my email. And again, this is an abbreviated application that may require less documentation, but that specific statement relates to what it is that you're requesting certification in. Maintaining certification. All vendors must submit an annual no change affidavit. This is done in the firm's certification account, just as you submitted your, or will be submitting your new applications. There is the yearly requirement on years 2, 3, and 4 to submit a no change affidavit. During this time, you must notify the Certification and Compliance Division regarding any organizational changes, business name changes, changes in ownership within 10 days of that change. All MBE, WBE, VBE, BEPD vendors must recertify every 5 years. And at that point, there is another application fee of $250, but there are no fees associated with any name changes, address changes, that, or no change affidavits, again, which you're doing in the 3 middle years. Expansion of services. Submit your request on company letterhead. The firm is certified as a painting firm, and you 2 years down the road decide that you also have been doing some carpentry. So you now would like to add this carpentry service to your already painting NAICS code. This is what is called an expansion of services. We ask that you explain what it is that you're trying to add, provide us with the NAICS codes, include the added categories from the North American Industry Classification System codes. I've already used the acronym NAICS. You'll be seeing these throughout the application, and this way it'll start to feel a little more comfortable for you. You, in the expansion of services request, you'll also include any required licenses, copies of future or present contracts, any needed insurance or additional insurance, and a current resume indicating how you acquired this experience and expertise as the owner of the business to now request that expansion of services for your business. The sister agencies: Chicago Public Schools, Cook County, Chicago Park District, Public Building Commission, Chicago Housing Authority, Chicago Transit, Chicago Colleges, Metropolitan Pier Exhibition Authority, and Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. These are numbers that are good to have because they also put bids out on the street, which ultimately go to contract, that you could submit a bid for down the road once you are certified. 10 reasons applications are denied: unsubstantiated or questionable ownership and control, unclear description of critical functions and who is responsible. This is where I suggest you write a concise, chronological, detailed resume. You can also give us a narrative about the business. Tell us what the business does, who does it, and how you do it. If the city cannot substantiate where or how the startup funds or expansion capital was initiated, outside secondary employment takes the majority of the MBE, WBE, VBE, BEPD, DB enterprises time each day. We are not ever saying you should quit your full-time job to start up your own business, but we will ask you how you are running the new business while you are still employed full-time. The company is not located in the 6-county region. If the company is not located in one of the 6 collar counties, it will not be accepted and received, and you will not receive a bill. That is evident in the beginning. The application will not even let you go past the first page. If the point of contact, which is the phone number and or email address that you've submitted on the application did not respond to requests for information in a timely manner. And this is where I mentioned the request for information that the officer reviewing your file will send out asking for additional documentation or information. If there are inconsistencies with the applicant firm's name among various documents, if the name of the firm and the name on the invoice or the contract is different, that's a red flag. It will be questioned. The officer will reach out to you and ask for an explanation. If there are problems with contracts, missing, incomplete, not signed or executed by the qualifying owner or owners, again, it's normally the 51% owner, or have no corresponding proof of payments. The required documents are not attached and no explanation is given as to why those documents are not available. And this is a frequently asked question. I'm a startup and I don't have that. Then please create a document that says, I don't have contracts currently because I'm a startup. I've only been in business for 9 months, and upload it where that document is required. We do require 3 and 5 years of tax returns. Again, 3 years for anything other than construction, 5 years of corporate and individual federal tax returns for construction. Questions?
All right. We do have a few questions for you. And Ronnie has put in the chat panel. You just give me a second. Because my screen is a little small because I have to move a few things around. The first question is, if I understand correctly, an LLC requires operating agreement and articles of organization. An LLC doesn't require corporate bylaws or assumed name certificate. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's absolutely correct. The LLCs, the operating agreement is similar to the bylaws of a corporation. So although it's a different name, it serves the same purpose, even though the text is a bit different. But you are correct in your question.
Okay, the second question was that you mentioned startup business. How does the certification process see a construction startup since 5 years of returns are required? She did not state that if you have 1 year to provide that 1 year. If I have 2 months from a startup, what can I provide?
So it's a construction business that's a startup. And obviously, as a startup, you've had no tax returns, no federal corporate tax returns or LLC tax returns, which are filed in the individual owners' federal individual tax returns under a Schedule C. You would, at that point, as I mentioned previously, create a document that says, you put the title so that we know what it is you're responding to, 5 years of corporate federal tax returns. My business is a startup. We have not filed yearly tax returns to date. Then the reviewing officer will know that this is a startup, although at this point, we already recognize that, we see that, but it's always good to remind us.
Okay, and for those of you that came in a little bit late, Rodney has sent out the link for your workshop presentation. So if you're looking for the presentation and a few descriptions of some of our workshops that we have here at DPS, you can see that in the link www.chicago.gov/DPS events. He also sent out, after this presentation is completed, on Friday, we post the presentations for the week. So if you were not able to catch today's presentation and tomorrow's presentation, you can see it on Friday at www.youtube.com/Chicago DPS. And once you get to the Chicago DPS landing page, you will have to go to the search bar and put in the name of the workshop that you want to see. And the archived copy of that presentation, the recordings will show there for you. Those of you that are putting your questions in the chat panel, please don't do that. We leave that for the chat facilitator. If you would go over to the Q&A panel and put in your questions, we will be happy to get those answered for you. There were a few, so it'll take me a minute to sort out. That's why we asked to put it in the Q&A panel. There are a few people that put some things in the chat panel versus in the Q&A panel. So let's see. There was one question, Sonia.
Yes.
How do entities outside the city of Chicago qualify? And would they have to register a domestic corporate entity in the state of Illinois?
Well, any business that is applying for certification already has to be an established business. As long as the business is a fully functioning entity that is within the 6-county region, and we saw those earlier in the presentation, they qualify for certification with the city of Chicago if they meet the rest of the criteria and provide all requested information documentation within the application process.
Okay, and so that I'm just re-clarifying with you. So that means if the person was in Wisconsin or whatever, as long as they follow the steps.
Okay, anyone in Wisconsin does not, the business is located in Wisconsin, they are outside of the 6-county region. And so they will not qualify.
That's what I was trying to get you to say. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next one here that was put in the chat panel is how do you start the application process? And what if you want to be certified for 2 areas, like the VBE and the MBE? I take it that's what they're trying to say.
So the certifications, as mentioned throughout this presentation, are MBE, WBE, VBE, and BEPD. If you qualify for all 4 of those categories, you are welcome to submit one application. The one category that is different is the BEPD, Business Enterprise Owned by Persons with Disabilities. That does require a Schedule G, which is a form that your attending physician is required to submit, sign, and that goes to the office of the Mayor's Office of Persons with Disabilities for approval prior to it being joined with the BEPD application. But if we're, just to simplify this, if you are an African-American female, you should be applying for MBE and WBE at this time, if in fact the African American female is at least 51% owner of the business, but also must be in control of the day-to-day operations. The applications and the ownership require more than just the ownership percentage. It also says that that individual, again, I'm going with the minority and woman-owned businesses, that female runs the day-to-day operation, whether she owns 51% or owns 100%. But yes, anyone can apply for more than one of the categories in this application for one application fee.
Okay. And we have one more here. It says you mentioned that having a full-time job can provide an issue for certification. Besides providing written documentation, that I would try to juggle my full-time job and my own company in the beginning. What else can I provide to ensure this is not a disqualifying item for my certification?
Well, I would never tell you it would disqualify a firm. The specialty areas the firm, the startup firm, the applicant firm is providing is what is viewed, and how the applicant's owner is juggling their time between their full-time job and running this startup business. We want to make sure that you're still doing your full-time job and that's not in jeopardy, but we also want to see that this new startup business is going to become a viable entity. We understand it's hard in the beginning, but we really want to know how you're doing this. What's your plan? How are you organizing your business and separating that from your full-time job? So if there's more specific questions, or that individual needs some more information or just some conversation, you can always email me at Sonia, SONIA .Larkin, LARKIN @cityofchicago.org. I will then be able to phone you and we can discuss your specific needs or questions.
And Chris, you might have to do this because I don't know if I will be able to do justice to the question here, because I think some things are kind of left out here. But expansion services, Sonia, he's saying, if I plan on starting one Naics code, like miscellaneous metals, but eventually want to do structural steel down the road, should I start with miscellaneous metals and then send the expansion of services letter to add structural steel? Or during the certification process, should I add both Naics codes?
This is a question that makes my heart swell. I'm just going to briefly talk about the NAICS codes that you as the applicants are going to be choosing. You're going to see the page when you click on, when you search your specialty. And at the top of the NAICS page, you're going to see a number, a 6-digit number, and a description. Please do not pick that as the NAICS code of choice. Go down on the page and you'll see that code is broken down into very specific, we call them subsets. So as Chris was saying, I want to do miscellaneous metals. Well, I'm going to guess that's the umbrella code at the top of the page, perhaps. I'm not that familiar with that NAICS set, but miscellaneous metals, if that's a subset, is fine as long as he can substantiate that that's what the firm is doing currently. And yes, an expansion down the road when he decides to start selling. It sounds like Chris wants to be a supplier of structural steel, then he would submit an expansion request. He would indicate, again, the subset for structural steel and provide us with the documentation evidencing that he is now warehousing structural steel and selling from his own stock. And if Chris has more specific questions than that, again, please email me. We answer emails within 24 hours. And I'd be glad to call him if it gets more involved than a simple answer to an email.
All right. Okay, Sonia. I think Chris says thank you.
My pleasure, Chris.
Thank you, and thank you, Chris, for the question, as well as all of the others that submitted the question. I want to thank our guest, Sonia Larkin, for imparting that great information to us on how to become certified. And I hope that many of you become certified by submitting your paperwork so that you can do business with the city of Chicago. We do have additional presentations, one coming up tomorrow. Once you are certified, then what do you do next? And it talks about, how can you do business with the city of Chicago? And we have many more, so feel free to look at on the link that Rodney provided so that you can get all of the workshops and all of the descriptions of the workshops so that you can pick the ones you want to see. And again, if you cannot join us every day, we understand that. You can go online to YouTube and look at the archived copies of those presentations. And we will also be able to give you information there as well. So with that said, thank you, Sonia. Thank you to our participants for spending a little time with us today to get this great information. And as I always part and say, stay safe, stay well. I don't know if you have to or need to wear your mask, but COVID isn't over yet. And I would just say, in conclusion from that, washing your hands, social distancing, and the mix, I would just say, be careful, be safe, do what you need to do, and let's take care of each other. And hopefully we will be able to convene live and in person at these events before long. Thanks so much and have a great, wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
You too. And thank you, Rodney.